Welcome, friends. So today I wanted to show y'all how you can take your art and create little gifts or decor pieces for your home. And I'll show you later on what I'm going to use this for. So I've cut out an arched 4x6 piece of paper for my composition, which is some Christmas bells with Christmas foliage around it. I'm starting with a blue-green mixture. You see that I'm using my very limited palette here, and I'm just using my green and a touch of my cobalt blue mixed in it for this really pretty blue-green. I'm trying to stay darker up close to the foliage, and as I pull down I get a little bit lighter, meaning I'm using a little bit more water as I pull down, making it less concentrated as I pull down. I'm going to take this color about halfway up my composition along the sides here. And then pulling it down again. I'm just taking and tapping a little bit of water in there to see if I could get any type of reaction from that water. Now I've just added quite a bit of my cad yellow medium into that, and I've made this very pretty yellow green mixture. And notice that I started into the blue-green mixture. See there where I'm pulling it down into it, so that there's no real separation or hard line that starts one color from another. And as I go up, I'm again using more water on my brush and desaturating that color. And I want to stay a little bit darker up towards the foliage. I'm going to go ahead and dry that, and you'll see me use my blow dryer often with this so that I don't compromise the integrity of my white poinsettia flower by smearing the colors. Now I'm just taking some of my raw sienna, and it's a watery mix, and I'm laying down a very thin layer of that all over the entire bells, and then going back with a richer wash of that sienna to create a shadow underneath the foliage that overlaps the bell. And I'm doing that on both of the bells here. Now I'm taking some of my raw umber, and I mixed in a little bit of my raw sienna into that, and I'm going around, not completely, but I'm going around the inside area of the bell to start building a shadow area. Now I want to keep some light within the bell, and so I'm trying to be very careful about keeping that lighter area while not creating a hard line in the very limited space that I have. There's a ringer there on the bell, and I was just adding a little bit of shadowing to some of the detail on the ringer there. All right, intermixed into the foliage of this piece is a small red bow. So I'm just taking my permanent red, and I'm going to go ahead and create coverage of that bow. And it comes out along the other side. And there's also a couple of ribbons that run through the ringer of the bells and come out on both sides of them. So I'm adding the ribbon there. And now I'm going to go into my poinsettia, and I really want to keep as much of the white in this as I can. But I want to use a little bit of this lighter green to emphasize some of the veining and the detail in the flower. So on the first layer, I just ran a vein through each of them, and I'm using that same color on the first layer of the second layer of petals, and I'm just kind of using that green more as shadowing. I get a little heavy on that one petal on the top that I don't really love. So and now I'm starting on some of the greenery, and first I'm laying down a really soft yellow-green color. It's more yellow than green at this point. And then I'm just going into my deeper green, and I'm right up next to the most inner part of each leaf. I'll be adding a deeper, richer color to indicate a shadow there. So our first layer is more of a yellowy green, and then we go back with a darker, richer tone to indicate some shadowing up around the most inner side of the leaf. Going back in with my lightest color, my lightest yellowy green, and I'm putting down that initial layer there on these leaves, being careful around that red ribbon. I'm going to go ahead and set those in place. And then I'm going back in and adding some really dark green up next to those flowers. Again, adding in those dark greens are important and will help that poinsettia pop forward off so that it doesn't look flat. So I've decided at this point that the red of the ribbon isn't really striking enough against the background colors. So I'm mixing some of my orange with the red to kind of make my red a little bit more vibrant than what it is right now. My camera is at a different angle than I usually video, and I am trying new ways to get you in a little bit closer so that my viewers can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not exactly sure I'm loving the way this is, but bear with me as I try out new angles, and we'll find just the right one that works well. I tend to like the overhead, but it's hard to get close enough for that, I'm finding, and so it's a learning curve there. So you can see now that that red is really starting to pop against the green backgrounds a whole lot more now that we've added that more vibrant reddish orange color. So there's a leaf that runs just behind or right alongside of the bell, and I really want to make sure that I do a good job on that particular leaf, and I'm really focusing on those darks there. Don't be afraid of your darks. Of course, watercolor is a layering process. You want to start with your lightest lights and then move from there. In some areas, you want to reserve those lighter lights. But as you move through your medium tones and then your darkest tones, those darkest tones are what's going to make everything more dimensional and pop off the page at you. And it's a process. With watercolor, some colors fade back once they dry, and you have to go back in and reestablish that. But having those initial layers down are never a waste. It just builds more and more dimension as you go. So take your time and go through the process, and you will find that your paintings are becoming more and more detailed and more based on realism. Definitely with more dimension. So what I've been doing here is just again adding in those darks and some dimension to those leaves. Texture. So it's time to go on ahead and add in our stamens to our poinsettias. And I've just used some of the red and the blue-green mixture that I had on my palette mixed for my background. And I created kind of this purpley plum color that I'm using there. And I'm just going back in and reestablishing those shadows and separating my petals on my poinsettia. I'm using that same kind of yellow-green color. And just look at how that changed that poinsettia. Just by going back and making sure those areas are seen better. Again, I'm going back into the bell, on the interior of the bell, and I'm making sure that the shadows there are adequate without losing some light. And you saw me just pull back some of that color I'd put down, not trying to lose any of my light on the interior in the interior of the bells. And reestablishing that shadow. And you can see it change as I'm painting there. How it just lifts that flower off of the bells. So I'm taking my detail brush, and the ringer has some dimension to it. So I'm just going in and making sure the shadows are where they need to be so that it does have some dimension. I'm not being too picky, but I do want to try to put it in there. So we'll draw that one more time. And your painting's never finished until you sign your name and your date. And here I have a locket frame that's in the shape of my composition that I had taken and traced onto my paper prior to, and it makes a really nice gift. I could see this being hung on the Christmas tree or intermixed into your garlands or displayed on a wall or given as a gift. Hope you've enjoyed.